What most people overlook is that the evening is not just the end of the day, it is the beginning of renewal. The actions you take in those quiet hours before sleep carry a disproportionate influence on how your body and mind will perform the next day. Many assume that energy is built in the morning, perhaps with a strong breakfast or a cup of tea or coffee, but the foundation of that energy is actually laid the night before. Consider how the body functions. As you sleep, it is not simply resting. It is actively engaged in regulation, repair, and balance. Hormones are being adjusted, cells are being restored, and internal systems are recalibrating. One of the most important processes during this time is how your body manages sugar levels in the bloodstream. When evening habits are careless, heavy meals, sugary snacks, or no intentional routine at all, the body is forced to work harder during the night. Instead of restoring balance, it struggles to compensate, and that often leads to waking up feeling tired, heavy, or mentally foggy. Now think about the alternative. When you begin to treat your evening as a deliberate preparation phase, everything shifts. A simple act, such as choosing a calming, supportive drink instead of a late-night indulgence, signals to your body that it can move into a state of ease. That small decision reduces stress on your system and allows your natural processes to operate more efficiently. It's not about complexity, it's about alignment. There is also a psychological dimension that cannot be ignored. The evening is a time when the mind becomes more receptive. The noise of the day begins to fade, and your internal dialogue becomes clearer. If your habits during this time are rushed or unconscious, you carry that same scattered energy into your sleep. But when your actions are intentional, even something as simple as preparing and drinking something beneficial, you create a sense of order. That sense of order influences not only your physical state, but also your mental and emotional balance. Many people underestimate how powerful repetition is. When you perform the same positive action night after night, it begins to program your subconscious. You are essentially telling yourself, I am someone who takes care of my body. I am someone who prepares for tomorrow. That identity shift is subtle, but it is incredibly powerful. Over time, it changes the way you approach not just your evenings, but your entire lifestyle. There is also a rhythm to the body that must be respected. Your system thrives on consistency. When you establish a predictable pattern in the evening, whether it's the timing of your last meal, the choice of what you consume, or the way you wind down, you help regulate that rhythm. And when the rhythm is stable, the body performs better. Sugar levels are managed more effectively, sleep becomes deeper, and energy upon waking becomes more reliable. It's important to understand that this is not about restriction or discipline in a harsh sense. It's about awareness. It's about recognizing that every action carries a consequence and choosing the ones that serve you. The evening gives you an opportunity, a daily opportunity, to influence your health in a meaningful way without effort or strain. You don't need drastic changes. You need consistent, thoughtful ones. When you begin to value that time before sleep, you stop treating it as an afterthought. Instead, it becomes a priority. You start to notice how different choices affect you. You become more attuned to your body's signals, and gradually you move from reacting to your health to actively shaping it. What's fascinating is how quickly the results can begin to appear. Even small improvements in evening habits can lead to noticeable differences in how you feel in the morning. More clarity, more lightness, more readiness to engage with the day. And those improvements reinforce the behavior, creating a cycle of positive change. This is where true empowerment lies, not in grand gestures, but in simple, repeatable actions that align with how your body is designed to function. The evening is not just a closing chapter, it is a powerful lever for transformation, quietly influencing everything that follows. When people hear the phrase balancing sugar, they often think of restriction, medication, or complicated routines. But the body, when supported correctly, already possesses an extraordinary ability to regulate itself. The real question is not whether your body can balance sugar, it can. The question is whether your daily choices are supporting that natural process or interfering with it. Throughout the day, your body is constantly managing glucose levels, responding to what you eat, how you move, and even how you think. By the time evening arrives, your system is either in a state of stability or under quiet strain. This is where simple, natural drinks can play a meaningful role. They don't act as magic solutions, but rather as gentle supporters of processes already taking place within you. Consider ingredients like cinnamon, lemon, ginger, or herbal infusions. These are not random choices. They have properties that can assist digestion, improve insulin sensitivity, and help the body process sugar more efficiently. When consumed in a calm, intentional way during the evening, they create an internal environment that is more conducive to balance. Instead of overloading your system, you are easing it into a state where it can perform its nightly functions without resistance. But what truly matters is not just the ingredients, it is the consistency and the awareness behind their use. One cup of a beneficial drink will not transform your health overnight. However, the repeated act of choosing something supportive over something harmful begins to shift your internal chemistry over time. The body responds to patterns. It adapts to what you do regularly, not occasionally. There is also a deeper layer to this process that many overlook. Your metabolism is not just mechanical, it is responsive. It reacts to signals. Late-night sugary snacks, heavy meals, or erratic eating patterns send confusing messages to your system. They create spikes and crashes that disrupt your natural rhythm. On the other hand, a simple, well-chosen drink in the evening sends a different message: stability, calm, and preparation for rest. This distinction is important because the body does its best work when it is not overwhelmed. During sleep, it focuses on repair and regulation. If it is burdened with excess sugar or digestive stress, its ability to perform these functions is reduced. But when you provide it with something light, supportive, and easy to process, you allow it to direct its energy toward balance. Another important aspect is hydration. Many people do not realize how closely hydration is linked to blood sugar regulation. When the body is properly hydrated, it can transport nutrients more efficiently and maintain equilibrium more effectively. Evening drinks that are simple and natural contribute to this hydration without introducing unnecessary strain. There is also a psychological shift that occurs when you adopt this habit. Instead of viewing health as something complex or distant, you begin to see it as something accessible and within your control. Each time you prepare a natural drink, you reinforce the idea that you are actively participating in your well-being. That sense of involvement creates momentum. It changes how you approach other decisions throughout your day. Over time, these small actions compound. Your body begins to respond more predictably, energy levels become more stable, cravings may begin to decrease because your system is no longer caught in cycles of imbalance. You start to notice that you wake up feeling different, not dramatically at first, but consistently. And consistency is where real change is built. It's also worth noting that simplicity is often more effective than complexity. The body does not require elaborate formulas to function well. It responds to clean, natural inputs and regular patterns. When you strip away the unnecessary and focus on what truly supports your system, you create conditions where balance can emerge naturally. This approach shifts the focus from control to cooperation. You are no longer trying to force your body into a certain state. Instead, you are working with it, providing what it needs and allowing it to do what it is designed to do. That partnership is far more sustainable and far more powerful than any short-term solution. And as this habit becomes part of your routine, it begins to influence more than just your physical state. It affects your mindset, your confidence, and your sense of discipline. You start to trust the process, to recognize that small, consistent actions can lead to meaningful outcomes. That realization extends beyond health into other areas of life, reinforcing the idea that change does not require extremes, only commitment to simple, supportive choices repeated over time. There is a dimension to health and vitality that goes far beyond what you consume or how your body functions on a physical level. It is the connection between your mind and your body, a relationship that quietly governs how effectively every system within you performs. Most people treat the body as if it operates independently, like a machine that only responds to food, drink, or activity. But the truth is, your thoughts, your beliefs, and your emotional state are constantly influencing what happens inside you. Every thought you entertain sends a signal. That signal is not abstract. It translates into chemical reactions within your body. When you feel stress, doubt, or frustration, your system shifts into a state of tension. Hormones are released that can interfere with digestion, disrupt sleep, and even affect how your body manages sugar. On the other hand, when you cultivate calmness, confidence, and intention, you create a very different internal environment, one that supports balance and efficiency. This is why the idea of a simple nightly habit carries more power than it appears to on the surface. It is not just about the drink itself, it is about the state of mind you bring to it. When you prepare something with awareness, when you slow down and become present in that moment, you are doing more than nourishing your body. You are aligning your mind with your actions. That alignment creates harmony, and harmony is where optimal function begins. Belief plays a central role in this process. If you approach your habits with doubt or skepticism, you weaken their impact. But when you genuinely believe that what you are doing is beneficial, your body responds differently. This is not imagination, it is a well-observed phenomenon. The mind influences the body's responses in powerful ways, shaping outcomes based on expectation and perception. When you expect improvement, you begin to notice it, and that awareness reinforces the behavior. Consistency strengthens this connection even further. One intentional action may create a small shift, but repeated actions begin to establish a pattern within both the mind and the body. Each night that you follow through on your routine, you are reinforcing a message. I am in control of my choices. I am capable of creating change. That message becomes embedded in your subconscious, gradually influencing your behavior without effort. As this pattern develops, you may begin to notice subtle changes in how you feel, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. There is a sense of calm that comes from knowing you are taking care of yourself. There is clarity that emerges when your mind is not clouded by inconsistency or neglect. And there is confidence that grows when you see the results of your own actions, however small they may seem at first. Awareness is another key element in this connection. When you are aware of what you are doing and why you are doing it, your actions carry more weight. Drinking something beneficial without thought is helpful, but doing it with intention amplifies its effect. You become more attuned to your body's responses. You begin to recognize patterns, what works, what doesn't, and how different choices influence how you feel. This heightened awareness extends beyond the evening routine. It begins to influence your decisions throughout the day. You become more mindful of what you eat, how you move, and how you respond to challenges. The mind-body connection becomes a guiding force, helping you make choices that are aligned with your well-being rather than working against it. There is also an element of emotional balance that emerges from this process. When your mind is scattered or overwhelmed, it can lead to habits that disrupt your physical state, late-night eating, poor sleep, or lack of structure. But when you establish a calming, intentional routine in the evening, you create a sense of closure for the day. You allow your mind to settle, which in turn allows your body to relax and perform its restorative functions more effectively. Over time, this connection becomes stronger and more natural. You no longer have to force yourself to follow through on your habits. They become part of who you are. The line between thought and action begins to blur, and your choices start to reflect your intentions automatically. This is where real transformation takes place, not through effort alone, but through alignment. And as you continue to nurture this relationship between your mind and your body, you begin to experience a deeper level of control over your well-being. Not control in a rigid sense, but a sense of harmony and cooperation. You are no longer reacting to your health. You are actively shaping it through both your actions and your thoughts, creating a state where balance is not something you chase, but something you sustain. Energy is often misunderstood. Many people associate it with quick fixes, something you can get instantly from sugar, caffeine, or stimulation. But that kind of energy is temporary, unstable, and often followed by a crash. Real lasting energy is something entirely different. It is steady, reliable, and deeply connected to how well your body is functioning beneath the surface. And one of the most effective ways to influence that energy is through small, consistent rituals practiced at the right time. The evening presents a unique opportunity for transformation because it is the gateway between activity and restoration. What you do during this transition determines how effectively your body can recharge. When you introduce a simple nightly ritual, something intentional, calming, and supportive, you begin to shift the way your system operates during sleep. Instead of merely resting, your body enters a more efficient state of renewal. This transformation does not happen all at once. It begins subtly. Perhaps you notice that you fall asleep more easily or that your rest feels deeper. Then, over time, you wake up with a slightly different sensation. Not dramatic, but noticeable. There is a lightness, a clarity, a sense that your body is working with you rather than against you. These small changes are signals that your internal systems are becoming more balanced. What makes these rituals powerful is their simplicity. They do not require major effort or disruption to your life. A single, consistent action performed each night can create a ripple effect throughout your entire system. When you repeat that action, it begins to condition both your body and your mind. Your system starts to anticipate it, to align with it, and eventually to depend on it as part of its rhythm. There is also a cumulative effect that cannot be ignored. One night of a positive habit may not seem significant, but when that habit is repeated over days and weeks, the impact multiplies. Your body begins to operate more efficiently. Processes that were once strained become smoother. Energy that was once inconsistent becomes more stable. This is the result of gradual transformation, small inputs creating meaningful outputs over time. Another important aspect of this process is how it reduces resistance within the body. When habits are irregular or disruptive, the body must constantly adapt, which consumes energy. But when you establish a predictable, supportive routine, you remove that burden. The body no longer has to compensate for inconsistency. It can focus on optimization. This shift alone can lead to a noticeable increase in how energized you feel upon waking. There is also a mental component to this transformation. When you engage in a nightly ritual, you are not just preparing your body, you are preparing your mind. You are signaling that the day is complete and that it is time to transition into a state of rest. This creates a sense of closure, which reduces mental clutter and allows for deeper relaxation. A calm mind contributes directly to better sleep, and better sleep is one of the most powerful sources of natural energy. Over time, these rituals begin to influence your identity. You start to see yourself as someone who is intentional, someone who values well-being, someone who takes consistent action. This shift in self-perception is important because it reinforces the behavior. You are no longer relying on motivation or willpower. You are acting in alignment with who you believe you are. As your energy becomes more stable, other areas of your life begin to improve as well. You may find that you are more focused, more patient, and more capable of handling challenges. This is because energy is not isolated. It affects everything you do. When you have a steady supply of it, you operate differently. You think more clearly, you respond more effectively, and you engage more fully with the world around you. It's also worth recognizing that transformation does not require perfection. There will be days when your routine is interrupted or when you don't follow through exactly as planned. What matters is not perfection, but persistence, the willingness to return to your ritual, to continue the pattern, and to maintain the intention behind it. Consistency over time is what creates lasting change. As these small nightly actions continue to accumulate, they begin to reshape your baseline. What once felt like an effort becomes natural. What once seemed like a minor improvement becomes your new normal. You no longer chase energy. It becomes a byproduct of how you live. And this is where the true transformation lies. Not in dramatic changes, but in the quiet, consistent refinement of your habits, allowing your body to function at a higher level, night after night, gradually building a state of energy that carries into each new day with increasing strength and stability.